Good afternoon, dear friends. Welcome to CEC live lectures. I am Dr. Pavitra Bharadwaj from Jesus and Mary College, University of Delhi. I teach in the Department of Computer Science. So, this lecture is in continuation to our previous lectures on information systems. So, a quick recap of what we have discussed in the previous two lectures. We have discussed the main idea of information, attributes of information, and what are information systems. Then importantly, we have discussed how information systems cater to the needs of the varying levels of management. So, and we have also talked about the different types of information systems from management point of view. So, basically the focus of these lectures is an interdisciplinary attempt of looking at the technology and management aspects of information systems. So, in today's lectures, we will be talking about the evolution of information systems. We will be looking at how information systems have evolved over time, and we will also look at two main important types of information systems. One is the management information systems and the other is the decision support system. If time permits, we may also talk about some enterprise and intelligence systems. So, without much ado, let's quickly start with the lecture. So, this slide shows how the information systems have evolved. So, if you look at the slide, the oldest information systems were the transaction processing systems in 1960s and so on. Then we moved on to the management information systems or the office automation systems in the 70s. Since 80s, we have seen the decision support systems have become a reality. People are using decision support systems to augment the decision making abilities of the managers, and then we have the enterprise information systems, and further these have modified and these have matured into expert information systems, into business intelligence, which is the latest which is happening in the area of decision support systems. So, basically we see that information systems have been evolving over time according to the way the roles of computers have mixed up with the management. So, now earlier the computers were only used for processing or number crunching or financial data processing basically, but as and when the computers have matured, the role of technology has deepened into the business enterprises. We see a lot of human responsibilities are being shifted. So, for example, structured decision making now is a task which is entirely based on computers. So, therefore, we see that how technology has changed the domain and the realm of decision making in today's enterprises. So, basically if we talk about transaction processing systems, so these were computers, basically very simple systems which performed repetitive tasks and high volume repetitive tasks. So, basically these are like summarizing, organizing transactions like accounting transaction, financial transactions, or HR, maybe salary computation, simple processing which only required more of mathematical processing, more of logical structure. So, simple programs were written and these could generate very simple data related reports only. So, it was only for a day-to-day processing of transactional information which is generated in the enterprise on a day-to-day or maybe on a week-to-week basis. And these systems are, even now if they are used in the organization, these are aimed at the lowest level of the managers, maybe the supervisors or maybe the frontline managers or maybe the floor managers kind of people, whose job is to assign jobs to the other people and the other maybe the people who are working at the assembly line or things like that. So, these are the simplest of all systems. Then if we talk about management information systems and office automation systems, so actually management information systems have come out of office automation system. So, office automation systems were basically there to support office and clerical workers. So, basically like we have the Microsoft Office, or we have simple applications of document processing, or we have simple spreadsheet applications. So, these are there to support the working and the management of the clerks or of the office staff who are working, or if we, for example, in the bank, if we go, then we meet the teller, so the office automation system is going to help the teller in that. Then finally we come to management information systems, so which these systems basically they access, organize, summarize and display information for supporting routine decision making in the functional areas. So management information systems are a more graduated, a more mature approach to having decision making, supporting decision making in key functional areas of the enterprise. So they basically they work in a very organized and very systematic manner, because they collect the data and then they organize it, then they summarize and to an extent also process the data, and finally display the information for supporting those kind of this. But important aspect here to remember is that again MIS also is there for very routine kind of decision making. So any non-routine or unstructured problem, if it comes in, MIS will not be able to handle that kind of a situation. So and then we come to the next level, that is the decision support systems. Now decision support systems, these were actually provided or they were actually designed to provide computer based support for non-routine complex decision making. So we just said that MIS is used for routine decision making, but if the decision which is to be taken is a non-routine decision, then what to do? Then the manager cannot rely on the management information system. So they have a more complex, more advanced kind of a support system, which is again based on a computer technology, that is the decision support system. And these decision support systems, they have a very important characteristic, that is they help in end user computing. End user computing means that the use or development of information systems by the principal users of the systems. So basically outputs such as analysts, managers and other professionals. So these information systems, the decision support information systems, these are made by these managers for maybe the analysts and other professionals who are working in the area. So these are directly related to that kind of people or that kind of the user. So they are directly, the user's involvement is direct when you are talking about a decision making support systems. So again, in another very important kind of advancement in case of information systems is the intelligent support systems. Now when we are talking about intelligence, we are trying to talk about expert systems which provide stored knowledge of experts to non-experts, and a new type of intelligence system with machine learning capabilities which can learn from historical data. So these are intelligent systems, these are learning systems which will learn from, which will gather the data, and these machines can be made to learn from the data that has been gathered from historical cases and all this, and then they can render information. So basically in these systems what happens is that a knowledge base is given to a system. Looking at the knowledge base, the system is developed using machine learning, natural learning and processing capabilities. Artificial intelligence is built into these systems so that they are able to perform the decision making functions very similar to the way human beings do. And then we have the knowledge management systems. So now knowledge management systems are again closely related to the intelligent support systems, because these also they support the creation, gathering, organizing, integrating and disseminating of organizational knowledge. So basically all these systems have evolved from simple transaction processing to advanced intelligent learning systems to knowledge management systems. So these are these are built on the fact that provided the right kind of data to the system, you can use technology, you can harness technology to make the organizational environment convenient and efficient and effective for the managers, and to increase the productivity, to reduce the downtime, to enhance the quality of services and goods which are being generated by the company or by the organization. So, therefore, we say that information systems become the key systems which affect all the other main systems or all the other organizational aspects of the business house. So, now if we talk about management information system in detail, so basically management information system, it refers to the study of information technology in business systems. So, how you can harness technology to make to the best in the business environment. So, this also refers to a class of systems which is used to support operational and tactical decision making. So, basically here we are talking about two levels of decision making which the MIS is going to help. One is the operational level and also the tactical. Tactical basically means the short term planning, maybe for the next 6 years, next 6 months kind of planning. So, this is for the middle level of managers that this system is going to help. So, basically you create and you enhance the value of your business by effectively utilizing the features which are provided to you by the technological sector. So, if we look at this, it shows clearly that MIS is a bridge between technology and the business sector. So, it acts as a balance, and the MIS personnel, the people who are required, who are developing the MIS, they are also acting as a bridge between the two sectors. That is how they can act, how they can balance the two different domains, so that one can act as a complement for the success of the other, how technology can be used as a complement for the success of any business enterprise. So, basically MIS is nothing but a model for problem solving. So, how do you solve a problem? So, there are three main phases to problem solving. If you are given with a business problem, then the first step in the solving of that problem is that you have to take the decision making phase. Now, in decision making phase, there are three main aspects. First is the intelligence gathering, that is you collect the data, you collect the information, you collect the historical facts, how things have happened in the past. Next is that you design a solution. You list whatever solutions are available depending on what data you have gathered. Then you, out of the different solutions which are available depending on your design of the problem and your this thing, then you choose the solution. Then you implement the solution which has been chosen, and finally you monitor, after implementation you monitor how the system has been implemented, how it is working, and then there is also a quality control. So, basically if we talk about decision making phase, that is the first phase. So, this is again, it is the first step in problem solving. If given a business problem, then what is the first thing that is to be done? The first thing to be done in tackling a business problem is to take a decision. Now, how to take a decision and what are the various things on which decisions are to be taken? So, this is first is intelligence gathering. Now, in case of intelligence gathering, the first step comes is definition of problem. Say for example, I have a problem of whether I should disinvest in a particular company's stocks or not. So, I need to take a decision. This is my problem, and the problem is whether I should take the decision in favor of the idea or against it. So, first I need to define what the problem is, what is the nature of the problem. So, I need to understand what is the problem, what is the nature of the problem, what are the determinants of that problem. Then you gather data on the scope of that problem, that what has been the past trend, whether you think that the share prices are going to increase or they are going to decrease, what has happened, the situation of the economy in the latest period, etc., etc. And then you also identify what are the constraints that are going to be affecting my choice of decision. What are the constraints that will be working? What are the rules, regulations, what are going to limit limit my functionality, how I am going to define the domain of my action. So, keeping all these things in mind, you gather the data, you define and understand the problem, and you also define the constraints which are there. Then the next phase is the design phase. So, a design phase, basically you have the various alternatives for the problem, and you assess each of those problems. So, what are the different alternatives which are available, whether in taking this decision there could be different alternatives. That is, first is whether I can disinvest in the stocks of one company and I can put in the stocks of the other, or whether I can disinvest only a bit and leave the others, some part of it, how can I cover the risk and things like that. And then after all the alternatives have been clearly listed and the pros and cons of each alternative have been studied, then one comes to the phase of selection of the right alternative, that is choice, that is choosing the correct alternative. So, basically when you are taking the choice, so when you are looking at the problem, so there are two main types of business problems. First are structured problems and the next are unstructured problems. So, structured problems, they lend themselves to programmed decisions. Programmed decisions means which are repeated decisions which can easily be automated, which are direct decisions for which there is no subjective element to it. You can easily decide about the course of action to be taken looking at the problem. Whereas there are some problems which are unstructured problems. So, unstructured problems, these are unprogrammed decisions. So, these are partially solved by the decision support system. So, unstructured problems which cannot easily be put it in the coding format, in which use of an information system or use of technology is becoming more critical, it becomes more complex and difficult. So, if I give you an example of say a structured problem could be something like, if I want to sell a particular asset, yes or no, that is a structured problem. Or so I can easily take the help of the computer for this, and it can give me an easy answer, yes or no, whether it is a good it would be good idea to sell it or not. Whereas if you look at unstructured problem could be, for instance, whether which kind of product innovation to be done to increase the market share, or what should be the next marketing strategy to boost the sales. So, such kind of decisions, such kind of business problems, they require more critical decision making process, and these decision making processes, these are only partially addressed. The unstructured decision problems can only be partially solved by the decision support system. So, you need some kind of other augmented systems for unstructured kind of problems. So, for structured kind of problems, they have basically three main characteristics. First characteristic is that these are optimized problems. So, optimized problem means that there are standard ways in which these problems can be solved, and these problems have been studied and solved so many times that they have become more and more standardized. Then you have these are satisficing in nature, that is they suggest solutions very easily. And the third is heuristics, that is you use your intuition, the user can use his intuition or his past experience or his knowledge also to come on to a decision with a structured problem. So, basically structured problems are rather easier to solve than in case of unstructured problems, because structured problems, they are more objective kind of problem, simple kind of problem. So, if you talk about an MIS, what are the goals of an MIS? So, MIS basically has three important goals. The first is that it provides managers with the information. Of course, the main goal of an information system is to provide the right kind of information at the right time to the right people. Next is that they should also cater to regular and routine operations. So, MIS is a system which will only cater to tactical and operational decision making, and it helps the managers in controlling, organizing and planning in a better way. So basically MIS will help the managers in looking at the problems, in finding out solutions according to the steps that we have discussed, and how to organize and how to plan the solution and how to attempt to implement that solution. So these are the three main important broad perspectives which are required, which are there as objectives of an MIS. So any MIS which is designed with these three broad motives. So if you look at this, so a typical input and output of the MIS. So you see here you have information from the transaction processing system, which is the input, and the MIS reports which are generated is the output. So basically how things work is, if you can see, this is like a cyclical process. So input from the transaction processing system, the information generated from the transaction processing system, it is fed into the MIS system, and the MIS reports, they are further utilized by the assembly line managers or the operational supervisors. They are further used for improving the transaction processing system also. So it is a cyclical process where output from the first step is used as input for the second step, and in output from the second step is used as a reference point for making decisions in the transactional step, in the first basic step. So if you look at the functional perspectives of the MIS, so functional perspectives of the MIS, so now I said that MIS is a very broad kind of a system of any information of any enterprise, any organization. So MIS is a system which caters to all the other departments or all the other subsystems of the organization. So there are different types of roles which an MIS take. An MIS may be a financial MIS, it could be an operational MIS, it could be an HR based MIS, it could be an inventory based or this kind of an MIS. So basically if you talk about a financial MIS, so it will integrate information from all the sources of the financial sector. So from internal sources also and from external sources also. So it has different functions, like you have the costing function. It will help you find out all the variable costs, all the fixed costs, and different methods of costing can be fed into the system. Then you have all the reporting which is done. So basically all the profit and loss statements, accounts, they are all prepared using this. Then at the time of auditing also, the financial MIS has a very important role to play, and if the reports of the system are generated through a proper systematic manner, then auditing becomes a very easy task. And then you have the funds management. So a financial MIS can be developed or can be made to develop into a management system which guides the financial managers or the people in the finance department to manage the funds in a more robust or in a more profitable manner. So if we talk about the MIS system in manufacturing sector. Now in case of manufacturing sector, the main idea is designing and production of goods. So here the two important aspects of the MIS would be to help in the production, and then to also see and control the quality of the process and the product which has been generated. So here the important functions are design and engineering function. So in case of product design, the MIS can play very important role, how the design can be approved. So this kind of MIS also provides features of computer aided designing systems which can be incorporated into it. Computer aided manufacturing systems are also there, CAD and CAM systems are used for this purposes. Then the scheduling of the production activity is also done using the various algorithms and the various techniques which are used in operational research. So that scheduling algorithms can be used in the computer based MIS to schedule how the production activities will be taken in. Then you have the inventory control aspect of the manufacturing MIS to control and to keep a record of the goods and the raw material which is available. Then material planning is also another aspect. Material planning will incorporate different aspects like which materials are to be utilized, which materials are in stock, which materials need to be ordered, and how the process is to be designed in a way that the right material is available at the right time and the production process is not hampered due to the unavailability of any particular kind of material. And then finally it also takes care of the manufacturing and the control of the entire process of development of that product. And finally quality control, that the goods which are generated, they are of the specific quality, they are of the standards which have been set, and in case the standard of the goods or the quality of the goods doesn't match with the standards, then what measures are to be taken to keep this thing in control. So basically then MIS can also be used in the area of marketing. In market research, MIS has played a very crucial role, especially in cases now when you have so much of digital marketing and e-marketing. So MIS have become very important because you have web-based market research which can be done. The pricing can also be decided based on the market values and based on the research which is done in the market. So different MIS are different functions of the marketing based MIS are utilized here. Then further you can also have MIS systems for transportation and logistics subsystems. Now in this case also an important aspect would be to decide the route of transportation of goods to the consumers or to the markets, and then schedule the optimization, which is the shortest route, which is the most economical way of transferring the goods, how the goods will reach, by when it will reach. So entire schedule is to be organized, and if there are any kind of delays in this, then all those aspects are also to be checked. And then you also have human resource MIS. In this case the important aspect would be the recruitment of the human resource, the induction of them, the training, the looking at the quality of the people, and then hiring, and also about their compensation management aspects are there, leave management aspects are there. So all these aspects of related to human resource, assigning and allocating human resource to a specific project, etc. And then also you have accounting MIS, which of course are the very important aspects, and accounting MIS are one of the management information systems which have been used since the very beginning. So these are some of the oldest MIS which are used by the enterprises, like the accounting and the financial. So if you look at the tally, so tally is an example of accounting MIS, because it provides all the features, all the reports, all the data entry interfaces to the users for providing the functionality. So now we come to the decision support systems. Now decision support system, as we first discussed, so these are not used for structured problems. Structured problems we are generally solved through the management information system. So decision support systems, they look at only semi-structured and unstructured problems. So now semi-structured and unstructured problems means that for these problems the computer cannot provide the solution as a whole. User intervention is very important. That is why we say that decision support systems are, they combine models and data. So different models are developed, different statistical tools are used to develop the models, different OR tools are used, and then the data is used. So basically these require extensive user involvement, because they are going to look at subjective problems which cannot be directly solved by the computer alone. So the important characteristics of decision making systems are that firstly the data from multiple sources, that is internal and external to the organization, is combined in case of decision support systems. If you look at the MIS, very little external data is used. In case of MIS, only specific MIS use external data. More of the MIS, they depend on internal data. And if you look at transaction processing system, they are completely dependent on internal sources. But if you look at decision support system, then a decision support system can only work if you have data from the outside of the organization also, along with the internal data. Then it has a presentation flexibility. The same data can be utilized for producing different types of reports depending on which manager or which person in the organization is asking for that report. We just now discussed that if you take the manufacturing MIS, then you can the manufacturing MIS will give you MIS reports from there. Now, the decision support system may require to draw on the decision related to the manufacturing. So, it may have to present the reports, it may has to present the outcomes by different kind of people. So, you may the reports may be asked for the sales department, the inventories department, the ordering department, so different department. Then it also, one very important characteristic of the decision support system is simulation and the what if capability. So, simulation basically means virtualization. So, what we are trying to do is that we are trying to create a virtual situation and we are trying to modify the parameters, we are trying to change certain parameters to know that what will happen if a specific situation or if a specific variable in the system is changed, what will be the effect on the system. So, such systems which you cannot just check, such conditions or such interventions which cannot be checked on a live, on a real system, can be done usually using a simulator. So, a simulator will use a computer program to generate or to create an environment which has the characteristics matching to the real environment. So, then testing of the different permutation combinations of the actions becomes easy in that kind of a simulated environment. Then it also supports for multiple decision approaches. So, different kinds of decisions can be taken. So, the decision support system must support for all those different approaches, and statistical analysis of the decision is another very important aspect that the decision support system must cater to, because by statistical analysis only the analysts and the managers will make sure about the quality of the decision information which is provided by the decision support systems. So, basically decision support systems, they have very strong capabilities, these are very strong systems. So, the first important capability is the sensitivity analysis. So, what is sensitivity analysis? Basically, it is the study of the impact that changes in one part of the model will have on the other part of model. So, what is the, because generally we see that businesses, they work in a cascading manner. So, if you change one aspect of the business, or if you make changes to one department or one subsystem, then there is possibility that there will be a change in the other systems also. The other systems may not remain unaffected. So, this kind of an analysis is done on simulation based systems, so that you understand that if you have developed a model and you are making some change to one part of the model, then what is the effect on the other parts. Then next important advantage or next important strength of a decision support system is that it provides the impact of a change in the assumptions like input data on the proposed solution. That is, if you change one variable, what is the change on the result. Then you have goal seeking analysis, that is, you study that attempts to find the value of the inputs necessary to achieve a desired level of output. So, we know what the output is going to be. Now, we have to just find out what are the inputs going to be in the system to obtain that kind of a specific output. Like for example, we have a timeline for a product. So, we know the total amount of days which are available to us. Now, what we need to find out is that how do we divide the work into this, into different tasks, and how to timeline those tasks so that the total is achieved, the final outcome is achieved within the timeline. So, for this we have different models and different approaches in case of statistics and OR, and you can use those approaches for estimating the time and how you can divide the task so that you can achieve your goal in the specific constraints under in the specific provided in the specific constraints. So, if you look at a decision support system, so these are the 5 main components of a decision support system. So, you have the data management system, then you have the model management subsystem, then we have the user interface, then we have of course the users, and then we have the knowledge based subsystems. So, basically these are the 5 main pillars on which the decision support system of any organization stands. So, we look at each of these in detail. What is a data management system, what are model management systems, and what is the role of knowledge based subsystems in the process of decision making. So, basically if you look at this diagram, this diagram shows the decision support system environment, and all the components which are discussed here, they can be shown here. So, if you look here, the data management component, it looks at data from the various databases, from the data warehouses, you have the data from the internal and external sources, and you have the corporate knowledge base from where the data is going to come from all the other sources. So, together all this data is lent to the data management system. The data management system then further looks at it and it provides the data to the knowledge management system. So, the knowledge management system is built in addition to the data provided by the system. The users inputs are also very important. So, the user interface is also provided to the knowledge management system, and then we have the model management system. So, in model management system we look at the different techniques of statistics, operation research, mathematics which are available to us, like you have linear programming approach, you can have Excel functions, you can have different types of other approaches for developing a model for solving the problem in the given scenario. So, all these subsystems, they work together, and what you get is a company based, all these are company based decision making system. So, the manager or the person who is depending on this will try to solve the problem giving all these components, utilizing all these components of the decision support system. So, basically if we look at the different types of emerging types of decision support systems, so these days we are seeing that we have a frontline decision making support system. So, the frontline decision making support system is the process by which companies automate the decision process and push them into the organization and sometimes out to the partners also. So, basically in frontline decision making, the entire process of decision making is becoming automated, and these are also they are also done in case of inside the organization, or they can also, the activity of decision making and providing alternatives and doing the right kind of research can also be lent to the partners. Then another type of decision making activity is the real time decision support system. So, basically the real time support systems, they support business decisions that must be made at the right time and frequently under time pressure. Now, see, most of the transactions these days, they are becoming online transactions, and the approach which is used for the systems is a cloud based approach, cloud computing based approach. So, the decisions which are taken should be immediate decisions, because there is always a pressure of real time systems to respond within a specific time frame. So, if the transaction, if the result is not delivered to the user in a time frame, then it is of no use to it. So, the right information should be provided to the user within that specific window of time, which is very small window of time, which is provided by the system. So, by the real time system. So, real time systems will require something called the real time decision support mechanism. So, then you have the group decision making system. So, now what are group decision making systems? So, group decision making system, basically they have some common characteristics, like they facilitate meetings and moderations. Basically they allow people to work in communities to work as groups and to take various options of arriving to the decision with a group model. So, instead of one person making the complete decision, here what you have is a structured deliberation. So, structured deliberation means that there is a group of managers who have to solve a given problem. So, they will utilize the time which is allowed to them. So, there can be signed or there can be anonymous comments, then there can be presentations which can be made, there is a period for commenting on the presentation, and then the decision support system, what it allows is that it allows for an automated collation of the comments. So, whatever each person is saying, it can be automated. Now, the entire process can be either a face to face, like they are sitting within the same room, or it can be a remote process also. That is why via technology, via video conferencing etc., or via simply by using the networked computers, you can perform the task of group decision making. So, basically in group decision making, it is important to know that how information technology can improve decisions. So, there are three types of group decision making systems. The first is the virtual group. So, virtual group means that the members are in different locations. So, they are all sitting in their respective location and still they are doing a group decision making exercise. Then the next type of group decision making system could be a group decision support system. In this case, you have an interactive computer based system that supports the process of finding solutions by a group of decision makers. So, here you have the integration or the interaction between the members of groups is completely based on computerized system. So, this system has been designed for providing a group interface to decision makers, and then finally a face to face setting can also be possible in case of decision making. In this, terminals are available to the participants. All participants are there in physical proximity to each other, and they can all make their presentations, give their votes in the presence, and all the data from the presentations can be collated. So, basically group decision making systems, they have very important applications these days. They are very commonly used in case of military applications, in case of business applications, in case of governmental applications. So, wherever we see that time is critical in decision making, you cannot depend on individuals taking decision one after the other. So, it is always suggested that group decision making systems are used where participants are geographically dispersed. There is no way of coming together and forming a consensus, and where there is some problem in communication. So, there are some interpersonal dimensions to the problem of decision making. In those cases also, the group decision making systems can be very beneficial. So, with this we will come to an end to today's lecture. Thank you.